All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Here.
Councilman Cullen.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart. Here. Councilwoman Hudak.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notations to exit from the front and the rear, and the electronic device, please put it on vibrate. Okay, make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to start a meeting off tonight with a presentation from Mr. John Woolham, New York State Department of Tax and Finance, Office of Real Property Tax Services, about our 100% equalization rate. Lori, why don't you come up too?
Thank you very much, Supervisor Hay and the town board. I've been doing this for a while now, and it's always a great experience and pleasure to come to the town each year. This is actually the 15th year that the town has received an Excellence in Equity Award. And by way of background, I would just say I know it's very, very rare indeed that I find or meet someone who actually says, I enjoy paying my property taxes. That's pretty consistent. But despite the fact that people don't really like paying property tax, I'm sure everybody could find other uses for the money, people generally reconcile themselves to paying it if they think they're paying a fair amount. And that's essentially the root of why the town is receiving this certificate for the 15th year in a row. Since 2001, the town of Southeast has been committed to a program for annual reassessment. And what does that mean? That means that by law, it's setting its assessments in such a way as to ensure to the greatest degree practical that people's assessments are fair. What does that mean? Essentially, that they're all going to be at 100% of value each year, with value being measured as of the same point in time, that's July 1st of the preceding year, and whatever physically exists as of taxable status date, March 1st, that's accounted for on the roll. So by ensuring those values are at 100% as of the same point in time for each roll each year, the town is doing everything in its power to ensure that people pay only their fair share, no more or no less. So we have, I say this every year, we have a very humble-looking certificate. Despite the humility of the certificate, the sentiment behind it is not. We very much appreciate the town's efforts to do this, the efforts of Lori Bell as the town's assessor, who works tirelessly each year to ensure an equitable roll, and equally, if not more important, the efforts and the support of the supervisor and the town board to ensure that this program continues year in and year out in the town of Southeast. It's something of which the town should be proud, and it's something of which the town's property owners and taxpayers should be proud. So with that, I'm going to present this Excellence in Equity Certificate to the assessor, Lori Bell, on behalf of the town, and I'll look forward to coming back next year to do the same. And again, thank you very much to the town board for making this happen.
One quick question. Can you get us any grant money so Lori can have a bigger office to put the plaque?
Well, last year, yeah, there was some aid for doing the reassessment last year. I have to admit, I don't remember the amount. It was about $16,000.
That's not enough for an extension.
No.
I think it was a $5 a parcel or something, was that? Okay.
Yeah,
Up to,
there's a little bit of a story with that. The program that the town participates in for aid actually calls for $5 a parcel. In each year, you do a full reappraisal, and that simply means that you're coming up with an individual value for every property, and that Lori reviews them. And that in the interim years, the years in which you don't do that, the program calls for up to $2 a parcel. Unfortunately, what happened is when this program came into effect in 2010, the subsequent year in 2011, the state started feeling very keenly the effects of the financial difficulties that many companies and governments were experiencing. So what ended up happening is that the legislature, since 2011, has not appropriated, even though the law is on the books and the program is what we just described, the legislature has not appropriated the full amount of money necessary to fund that. They've only appropriated about 10% each year. Consequently, there are rules that go into the distribution of that money. So if you've gotten a payment, you won't get another payment for 3 years. And the interim year payments I spoke about, the up to $2 a parcel, those have never been paid. I still hope each year that as the state goes through its budget planning and eventually passes a budget bill, that we'll see that fully funded again. But it has not happened for this budget cycle.
So the pork stays in Albany and we get pittance.
Well, that's,
I can say that, you can't.
yes, there you go, thank you.
It's true, unfortunately.
However, I was diligent in making the application last year for our money, our cyclical aid, and we did get a check from the state for an excess of $16,000 for being in compliance with the contract that we have with the state. And I will make sure we apply again in the year that we are allowed to apply again. So we'll make sure we get our money, don't you worry.
Okay, I'm counting on it.
Absolutely.
There's
So-
zero in the budget for this year, though.
Well, yeah, not this year. So thank you for your support, as always.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Good job.
Doing without
Thank
the-
you.
Without the support of my small staff, Colleen and Ed, wouldn't be able to do it, so thank you. And John, thank you for making the time, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the support of the ORB staff is invaluable. Couldn't do it without these guys, too.
And we thank you as well,
Thank
sir.
you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing for Lions Development, 121 Star Ridge Road. It's a special permit. I'll waive the reading of the notice.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, everyone.
Do we have the address right? I see about 7 different addresses for this place.
1075 Route 22, oddly enough.
Okay, so it's, is it 1075 Route 22?
Yes,
Boy, I'll tell you.
even though more of the frontage is on Star Ridge.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
but why would it be 121?
Don't ask me, I'm telling you, that whole quarter is, I think, mislabeled, but you know what? I wouldn't want to be an emergency service person going out there because it's really confusing.
I think a lot, first off, Don Rossi from Hogan and Rossi. I think when Star Ridge Road was realigned, a lot of the addressing was thrown a kilter.
Not only that, but
That's
right
a-
across the road, OTB, there's another there's another parcel there.
Right.
It's considered completely different than what OTB is, and they're both, like, almost, they are actually touching one another. It's weird.
It was interesting with the other building that we built up the road. So-
Okay, so anyway, we had 121 Star Ridge, 1075 Route 6 is fine as well. Go
Okay.
ahead.
But, so where this is if you are coming from the village of Brewster and you make a right turn on Star Ridge Road, it's the property right at the corner. Was owned for many years by a Felice Early, who, when she passed away, donated it to the Putnam County Land Trust. And so that's the parcel at the corner. We've received planning board, a neg deck from the planning board and referral to the ARB. The ARB has passed on the architecturals and also on the planting plan, and that's what brings us to your board. For the public and for the board, for those of you who are not familiar with it, this is the project. Star Ridge Road is at this side, Route 6 here. The planning board encouraged us, because of the prominence of the site and its visibility from both those roads and also the off-ramp from 684, that and since the access to the property necessarily had to be on Star Ridge Road, that the rear of the building look as if it is actually a front of a building. But traffic circulation will be up Star Ridge and a right turn in and left turn out to get back to Route 6.
Can you point out what they thought was the rear, what's the front and what the
Sure.
rear is?
This come off, Tony?
Yes, it
And also, can everyone in the audience see this? Because it's a public hearing, so I want to make sure they can see
Well, if
it.
they can, you can come up closer to the seats up front here, that you can come up and look at them.
Okay, so Star Ridge Road is here. The traffic will flow into the property at this point, and this will be actually the front of the building, In other words, the,
Front that's facing 84 or 684, whatever.
exactly,
Okay.
yes, and this is where the entranceways will be.
Okay.
An earlier version of the plan had a driveway that went around the building. The planning board encouraged us not to have that, and so we've eliminated the access road to the rear or road side of the building and have a turnaround, because one of the tenants that we would hope to attract here would be a bank. So we've designed it with that in mind.
Now, let me ask you, when you say that, is there an access road to the rear?
There's no other access road. This is the only in and out
What about
access.
firefighting? Wasn't that a requirement by the fire department?
The fire department, we understand, has no problem with this design, and we don't have an alternate access. There's ample room to be in and out, and also ample room for a turnaround.
Okay.
So, if I might, Tony, might have put up the drawings and the elevations, it might be
Sure.
a little bit helpful to illustrate it.
And the special permit is for retail, right?
Excuse me?
The special permit is for the retail use.
The
within
retail
building.
aspect of it, although we anticipate a mix of retail and office use.
And I still think the process is backwards. I mean, you go through all this to come to us in the end to say, can I do retail here? It doesn't make sense, but that's secret.
Something for you all to consider in your
We always say yes.
zoning ordinance update.
Always.
Well, how
Nonetheless,
can you
we
say
have to.
no at this point?
We have to follow those procedures. So, this is this actually is the part of the building that would be facing out to Star Ridge Road, and this is the front of the building that would be facing up towards 84. We've designed it with the idea that a bank would be in this section of the building, either one floor or two floor if they wanted to have offices, and this is would be for a drive-through.
Would that be, Don, sorry, would that be on the 22 side then, the bank? I mean,
Yes.
the drive-through, okay.
Yes, I'm right.
Okay.
How many slots for drive-through? 3?
3, yes.
Okay.
Drive-through ATM or drive-through or both?
I think
Or
we
just
really,
tell them you don't
Bob,
know?
Whatever-
we don't
whatever.
know yet.
Right.
Whatever the bank would like to do there, I guess.
Or
So,
anything that requires a drive-in. It's not just designated as a bank.
Yes, it's been
It's a drive-
designed with a
A
bank.
but a drive-through, if another business comes in and wants a drive-through,
Sure.
they could go in there as well.
Although we don't have any commitments, and I don't mean in any way to speak as if we do, if we had something along the lines of a Starbucks that might utilize a drive-through, it would also accommodate that. So we've been through the process. We've received a crossing permit for the project from the New York City DEP because of the channelization of road drainage along Star Ridge Road, which was granted after quite a bit of study. And so we're ready to go, subject to your board and final approval from the planning board.
What's the bottom, it looks like a garage door. Who's that? No,
Here?
down over to your left.
To the left? No,
Left, keep going left, around the, right there, what's that?
Yeah, just a design of what the side of that office or retail
Is it a
business would
garage
look
door?
like.
From here, it looks like a garage door.
No, it's intended to be windows.
Okay.
Tall windows, and I'll show you some of as far as the architecture is concerned, the concept is to have it very similar to the building that we constructed at 3 Star Ridge Road, which is where our office is. Same basic materials will be used, same color scheme, same design with the cupola at the top. And so this is the side that would be facing out to 6. The ARB asked us to change a bit the awning layout, but we think it's come down to something that is, I think, very much in keeping with our building, and I think something that's an attractive design for the area. These, I'm sure you probably are all familiar with our office building, but these are some of the finishes.
Are those awnings of fabric material or
They are.
plasticish?
They're fabric, yep. So, and we also, as far as the ARB is concerned, because we do not yet have tenants or potential purchases of units, we don't know what signage really would be appropriate. We anticipate that there'll be a freestanding sign very similar to the one at our office out at Star Ridge, and then we would like to be able to have a series of wall signs that would be on the walls themselves. Part of one is kind of depicted here. Bruin Deld and DiDio has their office on the first floor of their building, and they have, I think, a 2-foot by 10-foot wall sign above their doorway. And one of the things with the ARB is that we'd have to go back to them with a comprehensive sign plan at the time we come to the building permit stage and have our tenants. So we acknowledge and understand that's what we'd have to do. We really don't know what type of form those will take. And I also mentioned we have tenants, but there is also a possibility that we would do the same thing that we've done at our office building, and that is have this as condominium units that would be potentially available for sale or for rent at the property.
You mentioned a possible Starbucks, although I know you can't commit to anything, but will the septic support restaurant use or?
Yeah, I don't think restaurant use in a full-blown,
Right.
high-intensive water
Okay.
use, but something like a Starbucks, it was interesting to learn a bit about it, is that most of the water leaves the site.
Right.
So while it would utilize water, so well capacity is obviously
Right.
important, the septic area
It's
does not
not.
have to be as significant
Okay.
as if it was a restaurant.
Right. But
And
it
then the
won't,
Department of Health would dictate
No, I
what
know.
goes in there.
Sure. So we don't anticipate, there are some, there's quite a few retail-type stores that specialize in maybe health foods now, or the yogurt places, things like that, would conceivably be
Okay.
possible for it.
okay.
So we have not, as far as tenants are concerned, we've talked to a law firm that's currently based in town, a chiropractor, an engineering firm, but nothing yet is written in stone by any means.
Anyone from the public have questions?
I just have one question. When you said condominium.
Ma'am, would you come up to the mic and speak and state your name for the record, please? I know who you are, but let the public know as well.
You want to hold it or stand at the podium?
I'll hold it. Carla Lucchino, live in the town of Southeast. I just wanted to ask about the condominiums. Those would be all office condominiums, correct? Not residential?
Not residential.
Got it.
I don't think residential is permitted in the particular zoning district, which is GC2.
Thank you.
You need state approval for condominiums? You have to go through a state approval for condominiums?
There's a state approval process. There's a possibility of an accelerated process when you have a commercial condominium as opposed to a residential one that has mandatory memberships and also active recreation areas.
But you have
the
not
answer-
done,
the
you
answer
haven't
is-
done that process as yet, though?
On this.
No.
You got the approval from the state to do condominiums?
We received it on our existing office building. but
Yours?
We have not applied for this yet.
Right, okay.
It-
You keep
it-
saying yours, are you a partner in this?
uh,
You keep saying yours, I mean, I know you're right up the road.
Yes. It-
Okay. He's
First-
trying to take
First
ownership,
Lions
you
is-
better watch out,
First
Chris.
Lions is Lions Development.
Okay.
So.
Well, you keep, the way you're talking, it
I'd
sounds
like
like,
to take a proprietary interest in the clients that I represent.
I would
over
too,
here.
so put me in that line, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone from the public other than that? Town board?
No.
We'll put it on the next agenda for consideration.
Close the public hearing tonight? Is
We're
that-
gonna close the
Yes.
public hearing.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good seeing
Thank
everyone.
you.
We're going to make a motion to close.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
It'll be on the next agenda, which is September 3rd? Yep,
Yes.
September 3rd.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Number 2, public hearing this evening, Vesio, 161 Nelson Boulevard, special permit, which is different than what we just heard. I waive the reading of the notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Jamie Keeper from Inside Engineering, Surveying and Landscape Architecture. I'm here on behalf of the Vesios Farms and Agriculture for Mr. Chris Vesio, who is also present.
Jamie, can you do something different to Mike, because I can't hear you well, and that means they maybe can't hear you as well.
Is that better?
Much better.
The subject property is located on Nelson Boulevard in the R160 zone. It's just past the road blockage that's here, where the road actually stops. So that's actually part of our project, is improving the road improvements enough so that the applicant can get to his property. The project consists of a proposed horse barn and paddock areas with a driveway leading up to it. So we're here tonight for the special permit of that project, We were before the planning board for site plan approval. We did receive the neg deck and ARB approval, which we did receive also positive recommendation back to the planning board. So we're here tonight to review the special permit
Okay, and again, just repeat for the public what the special permit is for.
for an equestrian center.
Okay. Now, I was up that road the other day. I haven't been up that road in a long time, I have to admit. I always went to the paved portion, and when, I forgot that road. It's the first road to the right,
Merrick?
Merrick?
Merrick. Yeah, I've never gone past that. I was really amazed. I mean, there's some nice things going up there. They're building a real big house, which I understand is gonna be the biggest house in town southeast, is right there. And then there's high-tension wires. How much past the high-tension wires will the entrance? Can you show me where the high-tension wires are on this? And where's the actual road? Okay,
So Nelson Boulevard starts where on that map? I am confused, sorry.
Nelson Boulevard is the road
Okay.
blockages route right here.
Okay,
There's an existing driveway. Jefferson's is here.
the big farm.
Yep, the big farm. So it starts here. We would start our improvements just before their driveway and lead into the down Nelson Boulevard to about this location.
so about how far past the high-tension wires you're gonna have to go to do that entrance for yourselves?
I believe we figured it out to be about 700 feet, if it was.
Again, if you, please.
fewer. I believe it
I'm
was.
just interested, again, it looks really nice up there, I'm
I believe it
surprised.
was 700 feet, but being that we're starting up here, and the tension wires are about here, roughly 600.
And you as the applicant, you're gonna be doing the road improvements?
Contractor will be.
Right.
No, but not you, but you're
town is not.
paying for those
Oh, yeah.
improvements.
Yeah, unless the town would like to.
No
No,
thanks. No
I was
thanks.
hoping you put in some additional things for us as well. Okay, thank you. Jamie, anything else?
Yeah, part of this is the equestrian, this is a little bit different in the, there isn't going to be a house first, correct? There's going to
Correct.
just be the equestrian center, the
Correct,
stables
yes.
and
The house is intended to be a future phase, but we would like that to be included in this special permit.
So the site for the equestrian center right now is where on this property? That's it, okay.
And where's the future house proposed for? Wow, a long ways away.
Roughly here. We don't exactly have the exact location picked out yet, 'cause due to view sheds and
Right.
That
making
looks
sure we
like
have
a-
the septic.
That's a long distance.
It is, but it's really nice up there.
Right.
I know it
It's
is,
a nice drive.
but I wouldn't want to be plowing it.
And right now, this is the property too where there's a shooting range, which is completely legal, but there is, correct? Is this the same property?
That would be correct. yes.
Okay.
What, you said something about shooting range?
There's a shooting range right now on this property.
Okay. And it's legal?
It is legal.
Can you show me on the map? I've had inquiries because people do call about the range, but some people like to walk on Nelson Boulevard, and they are a little afraid to walk on Nelson Boulevard. Can you show where the range is on here?
That I actually will have to ask.
Okay, thank you.
My wife is an equestrian, so I was told to put it as far away from the barn
I figured.
as possible.
Yeah.
So this is Nelson Boulevard. This is the barn. My shooting range is here. It's,
Okay.
by the way, just completely personal use.
Right,
From this point right here to where the topography changes, there's a 30-foot mountain that comes out of the ground. We shoot only in this direction
okay.
with a 30-foot backdrop. So there's, as an experienced shooter, I've never seen a backdrop like this before. So, and there's no danger. We actually had the state police doing their exercises up there a couple of weeks ago.
You said police did it up there?
The New York State Police, they dropped their special operations team in at the meadow, and they worked their way up the hill they hit.
Oh.
It was interesting. They did no live fire, though. No live fire.
Okay, so, and where is, do you know where diverting reservoir, I can't see the bottom, is right there? Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah, it's really beautiful in there. Okay,
And we've, it's in the woods range. Nothing's been cleared.
okay,
No structures have been built. Welcome to bring anybody up there anytime.
okay.
Anyone else from the board? Anyone from the public? Yes, ma'am, come up again, please. Just state it again, just for the record, please.
Carla Lucchino, Town of Southeast. Will the shooting range remain after you complete all your construction?
Yes,
Is it part of the property or someone else owns it?
it's his property.
Okay.
And it is completely separate from this project, not, it's extremely legal to do on your property.
What's the
No
total
permits
acreage,
are-
what's the total acreage on the property?
The total acreage, I believe, is
Isn't it 64?
68.5.
Okay, substantial.
Yes, very substantial.
Any other comments from the board? Public?
John Lord, Town of Southeast. The equestrian center, has that been, there are wetlands down in that area. Is that being, or the building in that area being sited away from the wetlands, or has that been studied already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have studied that. There are wetlands down this location, and then wetlands here. There's a DEC wetland across the street. We're trying to remain out of the DEC buffer at all possible costs. We are not going into it, purely for access reasons to get into a parking area for the barn. We do have to disturb the southeast controlled area, but basically that's just to maintain the paddocked area for the horses.
And that's all been looked at by the planning board?
Yes.
And the wetlands inspector?
Yes.
And this is the reservoir. And this is the reservoir here, so the property goes right to the reservoir, or right to the right-of-way of the train line, right?
Yes, the train line is in through here, and then it's just past that. You can see on the location map, there's the property in between.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Is this property currently in the ag district?
No.
It is in the process of becoming part of the ag district.
And has anyone reviewed how the manure is to be handled on the site, going to be removed? Has there been any discussion yet with that?
We did submit to you a manure plan.
When you say that, you mean to the town?
Planning board.
I believe
Plan.
it was submitted to you as well.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't read that part.
It's actually part of the special permit application. They have to provide a manure management plan.
Okay. I missed
I
it.
can,
Okay, I'll have to go back and find it. No.
I do have a
No.
copy with me.
I want to talk about it. I'd use the other one, but I won't do
Okay.
that.
But it will be, to the best of my knowledge, it will be in a dumpster located here.
Yep, not a problem. No, I mean, there's been problems in the past with others that it wasn't considered, like in the old days, but now we're more
They're pretty good now, everybody.
enforceable with codes.
As far as your permit, as Will said, we do have to maintain.
So this is in the application stage as far as it being in the ag district?
Yes,
Okay. And can the shooting range remain in the ag district?
again.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll put this on the September 3rd agenda as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'll move now into the work session. Discussion for Betachek subdivision of 280A. Who's here to speak to that this evening? That's you too?
I am.
Wow,
I am.
double duty.
Yes. I was here just in case, though, because I didn't think I actually had to be.
Well, we need some discussion to tell the board what you propose to do and,
Then I will gladly show you some
It's
plans.
for the 280A.
go ahead.
I will gladly show you some plans. You'll have to bear with me as the plans are rather large.
I think this is a cell tower on Joe's Hill. This is a cell tower on Joe's Hill. Is this Joe's Hill? Cell
This
tower?
is Joe's Hill Road, yes. It is a large, yeah.
Whereabouts on Joe's Hill Road is it?
It is just north of the 2026.
Which way is it quicker to come in from, Federal Hill
Route
or
6.
from Route 6? Which side?
I believe it's Route 6.
I know, but I just want them to explain to the public where.
It's where the cell tower
Yeah.
is
Okay.
located.
That answers the question.
Tony, you know where my father's driveway is?
That's right next
the
door.
right of way.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so this is the cell tower.
So basically, it's so everyone knows, it's basically at the crest of the hill from either side when you come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So the property itself it's basically a lot line adjustment. The current owners, the Jane Gracie Betachek Trust, Jane Gracie's son would like to basically sell off to a conservancy all of the property except for the cell tower property itself. They're planning on basically enclosing the cell tower to the minimum amount required for the zone and to maintain the cell tower offsets itself. So you're looking at a 5-acre lot for the cell tower with accesses through an existing driveway, so there'd be a proposed easement. And the remaining lot would be rather large, basically the rest of the site.
And you said it's gonna be conservatory to be sold to?
That is the plan, to be sold to a land trust.
Now, some towers have shelf lives, which I wouldn't think happened, but I know one over in Narrowsburg somewhere, there was a piece of land, had a cell tower, somehow the person knew it was being sold, and so if that's subdivided off, and the cell tower were to disappear, someone could put a home there if they chose to?
They could, they would essentially have to establish that you can put a septic there.
How big an area is that gonna be? An acre?
5
half acre?
acres.
How?
5.
5 acres,
Yeah,
okay.
so it would have
So
to
it's
be
enough
4.
for a minimum lot size of 4 acres, so it meets that code?
Correct.
Fine.
Correct, yes. I think in the event that the tower is no longer in use or needed, it would potentially go to the owners of the rest of the properties.
Do you know if that's written into the contract or
I
the deed?
do
when
not
it's done?
know, as it is a 99-year lease
Okay,
for the property.
so we won't be around when the ends?
No.
Any questions from the board?
Maybe Jamie will, but.
Anyone else?
If I behave.
Any questions from the public? We'll put this on the September 3rd agenda as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, make a motion now to go to the regular portion of the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First,
Yes. Tony, I think you have to have a public hearing on the 288.
yeah? Oh, what was that? Just work session? Sorry about that.
So
Okay,
make that on the
September,
third.
Jamie, September 3rd is a public hearing. Would you notice that, please? Can you, it's too late. Don't wait. We have enough time for September 3rd? I don't think we have enough time. September 3rd is 3 days. Today's the 20th, 11th. It's
think there's
14
14
days. But we have
days.
to, we would have to put it in today.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
you'll be on the September 17th meeting,
Someone from my office will be there. Thank you very much.
and you'll submit all the documentation accordingly, okay?
Yes.
Fine. September 13th, public hearing. September 17th, September 17th, public hearing. Got it. All set? Thank you. Thank you, Will. Okay. Waive the reading of the correspondence.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2 is the approval of the voucher list, $656,832.49. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Setting of the meeting dates and public hearings. All meetings will be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, September 3, 2015. Next one is Thursday, September 17, 2015. And we are setting a public hearing, like I just mentioned, that's, yeah, for the 280A is on there. And we're setting a public hearing for the Betachek subdivision as well, for that evening as well. So moved.
I'll second it.
Tony, just to be clear, there's the farm to market subdivision and Betachek, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because Betachek's the one we just saw, so, okay.
So we got, yes, there's, yep,
Okay.
all set. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Budget transfers, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, Ashley, I want you to keep me on track on this so I can do the right order. Like I said, I have to do it 1, 2, 3. The way I had it was 3, 2, 1, but just make sure I do it right. Number 5 is a resolution to approve the negative declaration to implement recommendations of the comprehensive plan. So move for discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. This has been talked about for a long time, so, okay. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6. Now, there's A, B, and C that all goes along with that package. Number 6, resolution of the comprehensive plan itself. So moved. Well, let me read. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number of 2015 pursuant to municipal home rule to amend chapter 130 of the town code zoning to implement the recommendation of the comprehensive plan, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York with the time required by law. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts the proposed zoning map changes as identified on the town of Southeast proposed zoning map dated May 28, 2015, and described in section 2 and section 4 local law to be numbered of 2015, and be further resolved that the town planner is hereby directed to update the town of Southeast zoning map to incorporate and adopt the changes, and be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to sign the adopted zoning map of the town of Southeast. So moved. Is there a second for discussion?
Second.
Discussion.
I have a few, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We've been going over it and over it, and I'm not going to vote in favor of it. But one question I have that I thought was different was on page 8, under the maximum lot size dedicated to outside storage under general business. It says 25% in the, but I thought we had all agreed to reduce that to 15.
No, we did not. We can discuss it now, but it was not agreed upon. That was in, we at the time passed it, because I don't think we had, I don't know, it was a quorum or something that evening, but we left it at 25. If someone here tonight wants to make a motion to decrease it, they can do such. Because it's a decrease, we'd be allowed to do it. If it was an increase, we could not do it. I would not make such motion.
I will make that motion. I'm not thinking I'm getting a second, but I will make that motion.
What percentage did you say? Did you say a percentage? Or you
Yes,
don't wanna
to change it. I thought the board, it was my misunderstanding. I would like to change it from the 25% back to the 15%, or to the 15%.
Then could you just be more specific as to the page?
It's page 8, I'm sorry. And on the other, it's in both resolutions. I'm sorry, let me look under the, no, yes, page 8, did you find it?
Yep.
Okay, under the on the bottom chart, under general business, maximum lot area. Did you find it? Dedicated to outside storage. I know we had agreed, and I'd gone over my
No,
notes.
we
On
didn't.
the No, I'm talking about the 65%.
Oh.
The nursery and everything in light manufacturing was 25. And off-site new vehicle storage. I mean, I'm bringing this up, it's not that I agree with all the rest, but I thought we had,
No, we went, that particular evening, we left everything with no change, because one, if it was higher, we had the public hearing, we wouldn't
Right.
have to change it. If we wanted to lower it and bring it back, we couldn't do it. So
Okay.
right now, if someone, you've made a motion, I haven't heard a second as yet, and if it fails, of course, it stays the way it is. I've been one, I mean, we have tons of buildings, especially out on Route 6. They've been vacant for many, many years, they're warehouses, and I just think it's ridiculous for this town for years upon years and years to have warehouses, and then tell the owner of a warehouse, you can't have more than 5% storage capability. You have moving vans that want to come in various types of business. I, of course, would have looked for much more than 25%, but I've agreed to the 25% to compromise. So there's a motion on the floor to reduce it to what?
the 15%.
15%? Is there a second? Hearing none, no change. What else? Anything else?
No, that's fine.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
No,
Councilwoman Hudak.
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Number 7 is a resolution, Druville Mobile Mart, 2495 Carmel Avenue, special permit. For those of you in the audience, it's the mobile station at the bottom of Brewster Heights. It's Putnam County Savings Bank is there, in case you don't know where Brewster Heights, just down the road from Suburban Propane. Resolved, based upon the submissions made by the applicant, comments, submissions made on the record by interested parties both in favor of and in opposition to the instant application, and after due deliberation therefore, thereon, The application to eliminate the restriction of hours of operation of the convenience store on subject premises hereby granted and/or denied, and be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to the Druville Heights Realty LLC, owner of the subject premises, to the Secretary of the Town of Southeast Planning Board and the building inspector. And I will move that it be, and I'm going to move that it be granted. That's the motion that will be on the floor, that the motion is to grant the extension of hours. Is there a second?
Second.
Now we do discussion. Go.
You want me to start?
Sure, because I want to fight back.
Of course, of course. I'm having such great success tonight. I'm looking forward to this one. Because of the comments we've heard, for two reasons, I won't be voting for this. Because we've heard from the public, we've heard more, because it's in a residential area, we've heard from people who don't think this is a great idea, although a good case was presented saying there was no loitering now. I think it could be very different when and if it is open all night long. And also because of a business nearby that felt their business might be impacted, and they were under the impression there wouldn't be any other businesses open 24 hours. And also because I think it's right in between two places which are probably less than a mile away, open 24 hours, that to inconvenience a neighborhood is not, frankly, worth going to 24 hours.
Okay. I've been a businessman I used to be a businessman. I guess I'm not anymore now. I'm a politician full-time, unfortunately. For 36 years. Yes, we have something from 6 Southeast Corp., which I'm going to ask that we enter. Actually, we've got it prior to this evening, but we'll enter it into the record because the gentleman asked me to. And I'd like to enter into the record this evening the Druville Mobile Mart 5-page document. So I make a motion that we accept that for the record this evening.
Tony, I'd make a request that we have the signed petition with this, not just this written one. I'd like to see the signatures.
Okay, let me ask a question of the gentleman in the public. Do you have, this was done on the internet, this survey?
Or do people come in and
Do
sign?
you have an actual signed document?
Yes, we do, but we don't have.
Okay, but you can present, pardon?
And there's more.
There's more.
There's another 150 here.
Okay, okay. We will ask them this evening to provide us with that documentation.
Okay.
And we'll also accept the additional 150 that it has there this evening. So with that, is that acceptable? And they'll produce the other ones?
Yeah, I would like to see the signatures,
Okay.
sure.
So you're saying that there was 185 signatures on what is in my hand right now, dated July 23rd, 2015, on Edmund G. Loedy, Letty Architect. That's an additional 150? And these are, pardon?
Local customers.
So you had people came in and signed? It wasn't like a change.org thing or something like that?
Okay, so you've produced 150 this evening on top of another 185 that he'll provide to us at
And I
another
would,
date.
and the other thing I'd like to see, and no disrespect at all, I understand, just because we have to petition so much ourselves, is what the verbiage said. I'd like to see what people signed, not just signatures, but that would be great. Thank you.
I mean, what was just handed says, first, excuse me, the first one, the individual didn't put the name in the blank, but did sign down below as well as put the name, and it would be I blank, sign below. It says SINGED, but I believe it means sign below. Support Druville Mobile Gas Station located at 2495 Carmel Avenue, Brewster, New York, with their application to the town of Southeast to open 24 hours. They have been in the area for over 3 years, providing excellent customer service to our neighborhood. Their close proximity to my residence fulfills my early morning commuting needs. Your consideration of this petition is highly appreciated. Thank you. And then there's an opportunity for the individual to print their name, sign their name, and put their address.
Okay, so we've accepted that document and the future one that he'll provide to show that these were real signatures in the future. So that's move, all in favor of that, just that portion?
Just that part.
Yes.
We're not voting yet.
Right.
Yes,
I didn't
accepting
finish
that,
my
yes.
spiel. Okay. Now, one thing what I like about what they provided here is a map identifying, that's the very last page. You have, I think, 5 pages of identifying who it is. Now, people come from Poughkeepsie. I mean, it's a gas station, so they probably can come from anywhere in the world, basically. But you can see it's Brewster Carmel. Many people are down the road. I've received calls from some neighbors. So here's the thing. You can see by the map here that many people live there in that area, okay? Now, we only had, I think, maybe 2 people speak out at the public hearing. And one of the people that lived the closest to it mentioned something about the trash has seemed to increase. And I'll tell you what, it may have increased, but I don't think it's because of this location. It was funny, I was out with the town attorney and I bought him a coffee. Imagine that, I bought him a coffee.
Wow.
And we bought, like a roll or something. And I said to Will as we're driving, I says, Will, you haven't even finished either one we were doing. Eating, or he was drinking coffee, I drank water, so I was gonna take it for a long time. I'm telling you right now, we had to be a mile from the site. So someone to say that this has created more trash, that they're only 100 yards down the road, I find it hard to believe, okay? He was also concerned about the fact that this would lead more people susceptible to possible robbery or whatever, okay? That was another concern. That's, I believe, are you the gentleman that owns it? And just for the record, your name, please? Mike? We usually don't when people speak, but I'm not gonna ask you to say anything else. I just need your name, if you don't mind.
Mike Quader,
All right, spell it out?
Qader.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't buy that argument, because if this gentleman wants to run his business 24 hours, that's his decision to make. I personally, if I was in business, and I was in business a long time, I close at 11 o'clock, because I tell you, you ask for more trouble after 11 o'clock, but you know what? People want to be open 24 hours. He's a gas station. I sold beer exclusively, cigarettes, and lottery tickets. And I closed at 11, and I didn't want to stay another minute longer, because I'm telling you right now, it's just not good. He is on a main drag of Route 6. I was on the other end of Route 6 going toward Danbury. So I have no problem with that. Now, the other concern, I think, the gentleman who spoke, is the fact that it's in a residential neighborhood. Now, I'm trying to compare this to another location that we're going to be voting on a special permit at some point in time, where I'm going to say no to the same thing this gentleman's asking. Let me explain the reason why. We all know on Route 312 where the firehouse is. Okay, everyone know that area? And when you make a left onto North Brewster Road, there's a complex there. It's got, I think, a hairdresser, a pizzeria, a furniture store, a deli. I understand they're gonna come to us for a special permit. If they ask for 24 hours, I would say no. And why would I say no? Because that's I would say, a real residential neighborhood. It sits back way off the road. This location is right on the road. I mean, when I say right on the road, it's right on the road, okay? And the other one is much further in, and there's a lot more residential houses. Now, there's only one house that basically touches this person's property, one residential home. The other one does several. So when that comes forward, I'll give him a special permit for the retail or whatever he's looking for, but not for 24 hours, and I don't know if he's gonna look for 24 hours. So I'm telling you beforehand, that's another instance where I would say no, but this one I'd say yes. It's on a major road of Route 6. Now, I was a little disappointed with this other letter that I got, because one of the business owners told me that he wasn't gonna object to it because he's a businessman. But you know what? If we can create a monopoly for someone, I guess we can create a monopoly for someone. So personally, I didn't like the fact that they did it, but I don't blame them, because if I was in business, I wouldn't want competition either. It's more money that I can make and whatever. But they sell gas. I've never been in the store. I did go by, a couple times. It is kept really, really nice. And I know when I was trying to get their permits at the time that there was a big talk about dental mold. I never even heard what dental mold was. Just so you know, it's, it looks like teeth. It does, like Bucky Beaver's teeth. I had never heard of dental mold until that day. And man, for the first 6 months I was in office, all I did, for 2 weekends in a row, They were complaining about the dental molds. I had to go out and look at it, and you know what? It looked pretty damn good. I really liked it. So I'm glad you did the dental mold, because it looks good, okay? So other than that, I'm supporting this. I moved it accordingly, and anyone else wish to say something? And if not, we'll go to a vote. No, the public does not speak in this instance. Any more comment from the board?
Yeah, I was a little up in the air about this too, but I think it is a very clean gas station. I've never been in there myself, but I drive by it a lot. I keep it nice from the outside. I do believe in fair market and competition. For you guys to be the only gas station that can't be 24 hours, I find a little unfair. You are on a state highway, Route 6. It is a major thoroughfare. So I would support the change.
I mean, I too, in thinking about this proposal and hearing those that came before, was also, in Bob's words, up in the air, and quite frankly, thinking that the planning board, which is a very good determining factor, had ruled against it. But I did not realize, and I'm hopeful that 185 names and 150 more, not all from Brewster, by the way, but certainly the vast majority that I just looked at, apparently there is a lot more support. I'm looking at the different avenues that are around here, so I'm certainly am, if you could please provide us with the original documents, that would be extremely helpful. I know it'll be post-vote, but obviously everyone here knows that I am for business. My trepidation in this regard has been because you already had the planning board voting a certain way after they vetted what you had requested. So, but I can see apparently that you had quite a number of people who signed your petition, and so I apparently am going to be changing my thoughts.
I think, Liz, a couple of years ago when this came before the planning board, I believe that they wanted to be 24 hours back then, and they got turned down based on, you know, like you said, trepidation based on the residents and the neighborhood and all that. And I think they actually said, you know, let's see how it goes, be a good neighbor, do the right thing, and then you can come back later on. And I think that's exactly what they're doing now.
Tony, I'd just like to say there is something to being a good neighbor, and the gas station's maintained really quite well. But there have been problems of, in the past, as far as they were they were supposed to be certain hours, and those hours changed on their own.
Okay.
There's sign. I'm just saying, there's.
I know, but I'm going to address that, because when you said that the last time.
I know they've done the plantings now. I know that's been done.
That's good. You mentioned that the last time.
Right.
And unfortunately, I do my homework before I come here. It bothered me as well, because, you know, you set a rule and they don't follow it.
Right.
However, what I found out is the rule that this man is responsible for, he was unaware of. I spoke to Bob earlier today, saying like, well, you know, when you buy your house, you know, you put certain things in, you sign certain documents, you try to make them aware as much as you can. When the application was approved, and this is a special permit for Drake Petroleum on Route 6, Drake Petroleum, Supervisor Wrights was the supervisor, Councilman Gross. This gentleman is not the person who applied and got the special permit. Not to make excuses, but the first thing someone's gonna say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. But it's not really a law that applies to anyone that really runs a gas station. Like, I don't know, geez, you go by gas stations, they're open all the time. So this applicant is not the one that knew about it, and I have to compliment him, because once Mr. Lodi, is that how you pronounce your name? Once Mr. Lodi said that to you, you pointed it out. I was on the phone the next day because I found it troubling that they did that. He was unaware of it. He contacted the owner. He was unaware of it. And I don't know if it happened the very next day, but since he was made aware of it, he has changed the hours of operation. And I went out there personally on 2 occasions to verify after you said it, and I notified him, because I'm telling you right now, if I went by there and I saw that he was aware that there was rules and regulations, that he wasn't abiding by it, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would vote no, and I'd tell him why. You knew of an instance, but he's done it, Once he was made aware of it, he followed the rules. So I plan, again, like I said, to support it. Any further comment? Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
No.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Number 8, don't go anywhere, you're next. Resolution, set bond amount for Jubal Mobile Mart Route 6. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Jubal Heights Realty LLC Mobile Mart. Site improvements, $14,400. And erosion and sediment, $1,200. And be further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk or the planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Do we need a roll call or all in favor? All in favor.
Aye.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Number
Thank you for understanding again. Appreciate it.
Number 9, appointment to fill the unexpired term of the ZBA. As you know, or maybe, well, I guess you should know because we talked about it, offline, with all of you individually, that Mitch Klein, he served on the board about 2 years, is moving his family to another area. And he stayed right to the last minute. I would say, I asked him, I said, look, don't leave. He said, because we had already we vetted this process at one point in time, probably about 3 months ago. We put a new member, or maybe it was longer, within the past 6 months. We put a member on the planning board, and we had 3 applicants. Deborah Kaiser was appointed to the ZBA, no, which one?
Yes,
ZBA.
ZBA.
Who was it? Michael?
Paul Yankee.
Paul Yankee was put onto the
Planning.
planning board, and we had another applicant who happened to be Greg Warner. And it was tough, sometimes we don't have anybody interested. In this case, we had 3 people interested, all well qualified. I think Greg at this point is even a temporary building, part-time building inspector. Well, he's certified building inspector, but he's working, I think, in one of the upstate, not Dutchess County, somewhere. And he's basically, I called him and I said, are you still interested in the positions available on the zoning board of appeals? He said yes. And of course, there was no sense in vetting the process again, because we had just done it within the past 90 days at the time. At that time, I think it's been 6 months, because Mitch stayed on an additional 3 months after he notified me that he planned to leave. I said, look, don't rush. We do have someone, so we already know, so you stay as long as you want. So he went to a meeting, I think Monday night, I gave him his proclamation, and the next meeting is sometime in September, and hopefully resolved that the Town Board of Town Southeast hereby appoints Greg Warner to fill the unexpired term of Mitch Klein, due to expire December 31, 2017, and be further resolved that this appointment shall take effect immediately upon the taking and filing of the appropriate oath of office of the aforesaid appointee with the clerk of the Town of Southeast. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think Greg's a great guy. I think he'll be very good, but I'm going to have to recuse myself because we have a financial arrangement.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
One recusal for the reasons stated. Okay. Lynn, this is your favorite part of the meeting, at least it used to be. It's not anymore because you participate in this. Okay, it's the supervisor's financial report. I'm doing the budget now, and it's not fun. As you know, we're reduced to .073, which is just barely under 0.75%. We have the lowest taxes in town.
In the county.
County, sorry. We do have the lowest taxes in town. Wait, I was right the first time, but in the county, okay? But .075, I know the union agreement and the workers, the settlement this year is 1.75 for the increase. I think the health insurance is 6 to 7% increase. State retirement's going up. Everything goes up. I don't know how they anticipate us doing this. However, I will promise you that when I give you your budget, it will be .073. I'm not sure how we're going to do it. I think I was going to get rid of a board member. That's a good way to do it.
You can get rid of benefits.
But at any rate, I'm going to bring the budget in with the state request. As you know, I'm going to say from now until forever, because I don't know if and when we'll ever get money to fix the roads in this town. The state doesn't fix the roads, and they got money. We don't have any money. and it's really, really difficult. The highway department's budget basically remains the same. We get CHIPS money, about 125 to 135,000 a year. That doesn't even put a couple of curbs in half the time. So the budget, as we speak right now, there's two shortfalls. The litigation line, outside counsel, we discussed that earlier in the evening. We have two things we're, it's going to add to the bill. We've got another one coming up in a couple of days. And it's something you can't budget for. You just don't know. You may have one, you may have four. I don't want to go further than that because I think that's where we're at now. So the outside counsel line is difficult to budget because you don't know. So we live with what it is. And the only other one that stands out a little bit on this one here is the enforcement, the zoning enforcement. As you know, we hired 2 part-time people to help with parking violations, any kind of a zoning violation in town. Parking is the big thing. Even when we had a full slate of employees, we didn't really do a lot of enforcement. I'm really proud of the job that our enforcement crew does with the 4 individuals, because you keep hearing no, 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 and you see all the zoning violations that you get in the mail, okay? There's a lot of them. So they're doing an excellent job. So that one there, I wouldn't say I didn't budget properly. We hired 2 people. One's a real workaholic. They can't put in more than 950 hours. I did not budget for 950. And so since it's my fault, I'll have to try to find places to pay for it, which we'll do. And next year when I budget, I will budget a little bit more. So with that, the only 2 red ink that we see is in the outside counsel line and in the enforcement of our codes in the town of Southeast. And they're not really super major, nothing to worry about. And unlike past budgets, I know when I sat out in the audience 3.5 years ago, or almost 4 years ago, I guess at this point in time, and I heard a report, thanks to Ms. Eckhart having asked that question, I heard about 125,000 shortfall in revenues in this line, $135,000 in another line. I'm sitting out there and I said, that's $260,000. Of course, having been with the county for 19 years at that time, and we got like a 50-something million dollar budget at that time, I said, that's the equivalent, of course, of $2.5 million. And if I was on the legislature then, and I heard that number, and Bob Bondi did do that to us one year because he had an increase, I think, he came in with a 46% increase, and the legislature had to trim it down to 27, which was the worst year I ever had there, because unfortunately they put it in my lap to try to get it balanced out, but the best we could do is 27%. That will not happen here, but we don't have those problems. All the numbers that we have are reasonable. We work on a budget, as you know, we'll present it. I'm talking to all of you as we go along with it. It's tough to stay within it sometimes it's real easy. But the good thing is we have a good, solid foundation of a budget to work with this year, every year that I've been here. And prior to that, there was not a good foundation. Poor Bob and poor Liz when they were here, and Roger. I mean, the foundation wasn't there. I mean, the former supervisor was going to do away with the assessor's office, okay, and the employees in the assessor's office. Well, you heard how great a job they're doing, and then the good thing is, I mean, the bad thing for him was he was doing away with the assessor's office. However, there was no place for the people to go to pay their, find out about their assessment. The county didn't do it, so you'd have to hire someone to do it. So there was money that wasn't shown in the budget, and as you know, they try to get rid of the tax collector. And people, for some reason, love to come here and pay their taxes. I'm telling you now, I hate coming to this place. But I mean, they come here, it's amazing. The road out there stinks on Route 22 trying to get in here. But people love coming here, they like the service that they get. So he did away with the the tax collector's office. And, okay, he got rid of the tax collector. She generated whatever, but she also generated income. So even though he did away with the tax collector at the time, he kept the revenues in the budget. And that's why we had really, really bad financial times. So we're out of the water, because you guys don't like me crying property, because I'm cheap, is that what you guys call me? What problem? I bought him a cup of coffee. Huh?
Was it a large or small one?
Small. On the dollar menu. But anyway. So other than that, the budget's going to be done on time, according to state, .073. Not going to be easy, but I'll make it work. Lori's got hers done already. I've got Michael Levine's done. The two big ones is Levine's with special districts and Patty, well, highway, but he's not gonna get much, because, I mean, it's just not there. There's no way. And if you go over to tax cap this year, all the people will lose their checks they would get from the state next year, so that can't happen. So, hook or by crook, we'll make it work. So with that, a recognition to the public. Peter Bell's coming up. He had asked to be put on the agenda, which I didn't want to do. I said, no, let's start with public comment, and then we'll decide if we want to put it on. So Peter, I just said your name, Peter Bell. Town of Patterson?
Town of Patterson.
Well, go there and speak. Okay, go ahead.
But for
I did not speak to my colleagues about this, so they're
Okay.
cold.
And I know your opinion, so we'll try to change that too.
Can I start first?
No.
Oh.
Several years I owned a restaurant with my partners in town, Crossroads Cafe, which was very successful. We closed down 14 years ago. And since that 14 years has gone by, I've considered trying to do something back in the food industry, but didn't want to get anchored down with a restaurant and a building. So the subject of tonight is food trucks. In the town of Southeast, the code says no vendors are allowed to be in the town of Southeast.
With the exception.
Okay.
No, you gotta tell me, don't say that, because that's not true. With the exception.
No, there's no exception, there's an exemption.
Oh.
Veterans are exempt from that code. So veterans can have a food truck, whether it be a hot dog truck, any kind of a food truck, or anything else. So about a month ago, coming up Route 22, I see in a gas station, I see a food truck.
Illegal.
I said, great, that's wonderful. I go up, I get my sandwich, which was delicious, and I said, gee, did you have any problem with getting a permit? Nope, we got our health department a permit, and since we're here and parking and paying rent, we're okay. I said, fine. 2 weeks later, food truck is gone. The reason why a food truck is gone, because the building inspector came and said, do you have a permit? And the only way to get a permit was to be a veteran. And I had high hopes, the idea that this solved the problem.
If you served your country, you'd have been in.
True. 2 weeks later, the food truck was back. And what I found out is that, now, I don't want to get into his business, but what it was, there was a veteran filled out the permit. But what I also understand from the town clerk is that the father or a veteran has to be in the food truck at all times.
Any veteran can be there? Okay.
It
has to be a veteran.
It has to be a veteran.
Okay, so the father could apply for the permit, and he could have me work
Yes,
it,
yeah.
and I need the money. so
Correct.
I'll be there.
Correct. Well, the reason for my being here is I'd like the board to consider discussing in a work session the idea of other applicants being able to get a food service permit within the town of Southeast. Food trucks are not the thing of the future. Food trucks are the thing of now. There are food trucks all over. There's, if you go to Dutchess County, Columbia County, all the other counties around, there are many food trucks. We have many wonderful chefs in this town and great entrepreneurs. There's many different things that I've thought of about having food trucks. One being, again, this is just an idea, the old garden center on Route 22. Huge parking lot.
Which one?
The old garden
old
center.
garden center on 22.
Oh, okay.
I know there's problems in selling that property, but at least for a time being, you could have 2 or 3 food trucks in there because you'd have plenty of parking and good ingress and in and out. So again, what I'd like you to consider is the idea of changing the code to allow others, well, actually to allow people to apply for a permit. Now, food trucks are absolutely permitted and inspected by the health department. So any food truck has to have that in their truck. It's just the idea of getting a permit for the town of Southeast.
I mean, I'm in Manhattan a lot, and there are all sorts of fancy food trucks that are parked in Manhattan. Not for veterans or not veteran owners, I don't think. I think your idea has merit. I would just be concerned, though, you don't want to be putting local stores or other restaurants out of business. But I would be willing to consider, discussing it.
Okay, so we'll put it on the next agenda. As you know,
I'd agree too, that it should be on the next.
Yeah, and if you know the brief history of the food truck history, what happened in Southeast is years ago, people were coming in and putting furniture actually near Brewster by the side of the road and
I
selling it.
remember
And then it was at the request of the town clerk at the time that the town enact, this is really dating me for how old
Peddlers
I am, for
solicitation.
peddlers, but food trucks fell into that category, and they did exempt veterans. And I think since this board feels in healthy competition, I agree, you're at a little bit more of an advantage in a food truck as far as keeping your expenses down, but I would be very willing to listen to, to hear, to discuss it on the board and get input from the residents.
Terrific. The gentleman that had the food truck was here, but unfortunately, he had to leave. But if we're gonna put it on a work session, that's terrific.
so it looks like you only got one no so far.
Good,
We'll discuss it.
good,
I'll tell
terrific.
them, I'll tell them.
Maybe Ashley, as long as you're here, could you look into?
It's right here.
Oh, okay.
I got it.
No,
Yeah,
what
we're-
are ordinances, but what
Yeah.
other communities allow, that's what I'm,
Yeah, but wait a second, before you go too far, guys, don't forget, other ordinances, like in towns, whatever, signs in particular, I have to admit, our sign law, I know people don't like it, but I'm telling you, we have one of the cleanest towns in this area.
We do.
And when I go up to the next town, I won't mention it, just to our north,
Yeah.
and you look at those roads, they look horrible. This was done at, but I'll make my
no,
argument.
I'm just
No,
saying, if
I know.
she could survey, what other
I can
towns
tell you
allow.
what it is, they allow it, they allow you to do whatever you want.
But I mean, Peter understands, this is gonna be, is up for discussion. This doesn't mean 4 people are voting for it and one person's voting against it. We
Yeah.
really need to get public input on this and see what the
Just to let
public
you know,
feels.
right now, there's only 2
Yeah,
food trucks operating in the town of Southeast.
Right.
Is there only two? We've had.
And that
we've
even
had
applies with ice cream trucks, I think, too, right? Like Good Humor Man, you have to be a veteran, Michelle, right? Or-
And they're illegal, actually, right, Will? They don't have a permit for good human trucks.
If there's a good humor truck around the town, it's
Yeah.
a violation of the law.
oh,
One of the things that I also did check on was what happened if I decided to have a party on my property and I had food trucks come in to do that.
I would
And
say
building-
and that
I would say
happens quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, the building inspector said he would consider that catering.
Right.
Just to also let you know, the building inspector, and I'm gonna tell you what he said to me, would not be opposed to having food trucks.
Wow, I gotta talk to him.
No, I think
Uh-oh,
it's,
someone's
didn't
getting
get to it.
fired on Monday. Thanks, Peter.
no, I think it's got merit, because,
Yeah.
like I said, in Manhattan, I know they've got all sorts of food trucks parked, and fancy food, and it's amazing what they do in food trucks now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think I
Are
would.
you gonna have a
I
dollar
would
menu?
consider-
Forget it. Okay, anything else, Peter?
That's it, thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public? Town board?
Edwin?
Okay.
I do.
Oh, figures, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that last week I went to the Public Service Commission hearing up in Poughkeepsie. They do a review, I think it's every 5 or 10 years, and I wanted to see about, since we all are big on competition, how difficult it would be, because we have tried and tried to get Verizon to expand their service to no avail. And I know it's very irritating for local residents to have no competition. I know how hard Tony's worked in writing Verizon. And I spoke to a commissioner who did urge us to, he said that we need to write Verizon again about whether they, even if they don't expand their service, since they're in about 3/4 of the town, that they could service those 3/4 and offer expanded service to them.
What did you just say? About 3/4 of the town?
the Fios is down.
The wire's down for
Yes.
3/4 of this town.
Just about.
And who'd you get that from?
I got that from Verizon.
Yeah, I remember when
Yeah.
they were wiring, like my neighborhood, Milltown.
So 3/4 is wire.
I mean, we'll double check, and maybe it's only half, that's what I was told, and Bob remembers,
Yeah,
but
75% of the
Yeah.
town's wired, they walked away from it.
what they, yeah, and then they walked
Well,
away.
I guess
and-
as a supervisor at the time, it was too tough and wanted,
Yeah,
a couple
well,
$1 million or something.
And I know Verizon is strongly, I know their workers are very much for this. I know Verizon itself, management is opposed, but I think that as a board, we should write a letter. The Public Service Commission can put pressure and strongly urge Verizon to expand their service. So it's a shot in the dark, and I don't think it will come to much, but I certainly think we owe it to the residents to send in a letter.
I mean, Carmel has Verizon,
Yeah,
I believe Kent does.
A lot of people does. We
I
don't.
thi- I think I have
Madison doesn't, we
Verizon Fios
Yep.
in my office in Carmel.
Oh, yeah.
And when it was put in or installed, the work person who came in, I spoke to him about this and said, why can't we have it in Southeast, et cetera? And he had said words to the effect of, there are so many towns and so many people that now want it, that the workers, the ranks are thinning out, and that's one of the reasons why. And also, weren't you one of the towns that might have had an issue with the people who were running the town at the time? So this worker, who I don't remember his name, he indicated that they're going to different places, different towns to do it, but it's going to take a while. And he said maybe we could continue to press Verizon, but
Right, and we can write to the Public Service Commission, and we should as a follow-up that this is something the town is very interested in. I felt really, a lot of people there were there from, very few, none from Putnam really, but a lot even from Sullivan County, from places that don't even have dial-up. Some have no internet at all, and some have dial-up still. So I thought we were in pretty good shape compared to that, but I still think we should try to see what we can do.
Okay, so you draft a letter and I'll sign it.
Okay,
Help me out. I'm delegating.
I try.
Okay.
I will
Well,
do
I
that.
try to, and
I know you
behind
do,
the
so.
scenes, I've been dealing with a person who used to work for Verizon, and we were gonna plan to go to the Public Service Commission probably in another couple months, because that's the direction they told us to go as well at
Right.
the time. But as you know, if you've been listening to radio the past probably month, I've heard a lot of advertisements on there that some union local is complaining about Verizon
Well,
Fios.
they're trying to get them
that
to
they
do it,
didn't-
to get to
In New
work.
York City, they identified many areas that had fallen short on their commitment. And I heard something about competition. When we signed a contract with Comcast, it's in the contract that we're open for competition. We want competition. So if,
Non-exclusive.
Right.
non-exclusive. So our contract, even though I keep hearing it's not true, and it's in our, maybe I have to highlight it in the contract because it's online. We stayed in there and they signed it, Comcast, knowing that we want competition. So if someone's willing to come to this town and put in Fios or any type of cable, whatever, Time Warner I contacted, they had no interest. And then I read in the paper a year later, Time Warner and Comcast wanted to become partners. Never, the marriage never took place. So we've really tried, hasn't happened yet. And the workers, I forgot what they were, local,
Well,
they're doing the advertisements.
The
Communication Workers of
Verizon
America.
Workers Union, their contract is expiring or expired, so they're just trying
Well,
out.
they're telling the truth, though.
Yeah.
You know, they made, Verizon made a promise supposedly, way back when, to provide all these places, in New York City don't have it, okay? And many other municipalities. So it's out there.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nothing from me now.
Okay, I just have one quick thing. Along Clean Gas, as you know, is applying for a 42-inch pipe from a 26-inch pipe here within the town of Southeast. Originally, they had one about 6 months ago that we had discussed, were involved partners, or not partners, involved agency. We will be an involved agency with this as well. If that one was approved, I think, by the federal government, then they backtracked and something happened there. Again, we will do what we can to protect our citizens. However, it's state and federally controlled. So we're gonna be like a shot in the wind, but we're gonna try. What I wanna make you aware of this evening, because there's time with this broadcast that you know, that, what should I read this? Okay, let me read what it is. This is from Christian D. Palermo. He works for Algonquin Gas. Dear Supervisor Hay, I hope you're enjoying the summer. As I mentioned in earlier correspondence, Spectra Energy is currently evaluating the Access Northeast project, which is in the developmental stage. If the project moves forward, it will result in a replacement of the existing 26-inch pipeline with a 42-inch pipeline in the town of Southeast. One of the first steps in the evaluation stage is to hold landowner information meetings for those landowners directly affected or within the study corridor, 150 feet on each side of the existing pipe. This meeting has been scheduled as follows. Carmel, Southeast New York, September 2, 2015. Now, you don't have to be a landowner to go to this. If you have concern, go to this meeting. Now, I believe they may come here. I can't promise they will, but this is going to basically make their commitment here, and they're going to the Elks Lodge. Okay, so on September 2nd, what day of the week is it? Anyone know?
I think it's a Wednesday.
I'll tell you in a second.
It's a Wednesday.
A Wednesday? Okay, so Wednesday, I should have known, September
That's right,
3rd is our
3rd.
meeting. Okay, anyway. Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015, between 5:30 and 7:30 at the Brewster Elks Lodge. That's right up the road here, on the right-hand side. It's Elks Lodge 2101. The address, 1430 Route 22 in Milltown Road, Brewster, New York. That meeting will take place there. That's people from Carmel. It's open to the public. I don't know if you have enough parking for it, but good luck. That's where it's going to take place. So you have plenty of time now to, gather up your pitchforks or whatever you're going to be doing. Go there, ask your questions, and whatever. It's there. So, September 2nd, 2015, 5:30 to 7:30, Brewster Elks Lodge, 1430 Route 22 in Milltown Road. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we close tonight's meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait,
Just so, Founder's Day is September 13th,
right.
which is a Sunday.
September 13th, Sunday for Founder's Day in the Village.
Correct.
Thank you.
We can announce our next meeting, too.
Yep. Okay, was it second and everything?
I'll
Yes,
second.
I did, I seconded.
All in favor?
Aye, thank you.
Thank you all for coming.